It started with a scream that no one could place. A sound that tore through the quiet night in Silver Lake, California. Sharp, desperate, and gone in an instant. Neighbors said it came from the old Harris house, the one that had been sitting half-abandoned for years, its porch sagging like a broken promise. When the police arrived, they found nothing but silence and the faint smell of bleach. But Detective Laura Kane knew from the second she stepped inside. Something terrible had happened there. Laura had been with LAPD for 17 years, a woman known for her cold logic and calm under pressure. But lately she'd been haunted. Not by the cases she solved, but by the ones she couldn't. She hadn't slept properly in weeks. Her marriage was gone, her partner transferred, and she'd started drinking again. When dispatch called about a possible domestic disturbance on Silver Lake Drive, she almost didn't answer. But fate has a cruel sense of humor, because this case would change everything she thought she knew about justice, truth, and herself. The first clue was small, a single gold earring wedged beneath the old carpet. It looked expensive, custom-made. Laura bagged it, logged it, and kept moving. The living room looked like someone had tried to erase a memory. Bleach on the floor, curtains gone, furniture missing. But when she turned her flashlight toward the back door, she noticed a faint smear of blood under the handle. Wiped, but not clean. Someone had panicked. Outside, the backyard was quiet except for the low hum of crickets. Then Laura saw them. Tire marks leading to the lake behind the property. The mud was fresh. She followed the trail with her flashlight, her boots sinking into the damp ground. The beam of light landed on something glinting at the water's edge, a car bumper, just barely visible above the surface. "Get a dive team out here," she radioed. Her voice was steady, but her heart was racing. By dawn, they pulled the car out. A black Chevy Malibu, registered to a 28-year-old woman named Samantha Reed. Inside, in the driver's seat, was a body. Female, mid to late 20s, wrists bruised, head wound at the temple. No purse, no phone, no ID. Just the matching gold earring still in her ear. Laura stood by the water, the morning fog curling around her legs, staring at the dead woman. "Who did this to you?" she whispered. The autopsy report came back fast. Cause of death, blunt force trauma. Time of death, between 9 and 11 p.m. the previous night. Toxicology, negative. But there was something strange. A trace of chloroform in her system. Whoever killed Samantha had planned it. As Laura dug deeper, she found out Samantha Reed wasn't just anyone. She worked as a private real estate agent specializing in high-end foreclosures, including the Harris property. 2 days before her death, she had filed a report about missing client funds connected to that very house. The more Laura looked, the more it stank of corruption, property fraud, forged documents, off-the-books payments. It looked like Samantha had stumbled onto something big, and someone wanted her silenced. Laura started with the owner, Elliot Harris, a real estate investor with a clean record and a perfect smile. When she showed up at his office, he welcomed her like an old friend. "Detective Kane." Such a tragedy about Samantha. "I heard it on the news this morning. She was a good kid." "Funny," Laura said. "You haven't been interviewed yet." "News isn't out about her name." Elliot's smile faltered for just a second. "Lucky guess," he said softly. Lucky guess my ass, Laura thought. Back at the station, she pulled Elliot's financials. Clean on paper. But the deeper she looked, the more hidden accounts she found. Shell companies, offshore transfers, payments made to consultants that didn't exist. One of the accounts was linked to a company called Northbridge Holdings, owned by a man named Daniel Royce, a former cop turned private security contractor. Daniel's name was familiar. Too familiar. He was Laura's ex-partner. That night, Laura sat in her car outside Royce's downtown condo, gripping the steering wheel until her knuckles turned white. She hadn't seen him in 3 years. He'd left the force after a scandal, an internal investigation that went nowhere. She'd testified against him once. Now his name was in the middle of her murder case. When Royce finally opened the door, he looked the same. Strong, confident, dangerous. "Laura," he said, smiling. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Cut the crap," she said, showing him the photo of Samantha. "She's dead. Her car was dumped in Silver Lake. You know anything about it?" Royce studied the photo, then shrugged. "Never seen her before." "You're lying," she said flatly. He leaned against the doorway, that same smug grin on his face. "Careful, Kane. You start chasing ghosts, you'll forget who's still alive. Laura left before she put a bullet through his head. The next few days were a blur of dead ends and long nights. Then, a break. A local gas station camera caught Samantha arguing with someone in a dark SUV hours before her death. Laura enhanced the footage, heart pounding. The driver was wearing sunglasses, but the license plate was clear enough to trace. The SUV belonged to Elliot Harris. When they brought him in, Elliot didn't deny it. Yes, I met her, he admitted. She wanted money. She said she had files, evidence of fraud. I told her I'd handle it. I didn't kill her, Detective. I swear. Then who did? Laura asked. I don't know. But she wasn't just threatening me. She said she was going to the police. Said someone in your department was on the take. Laura froze. What did you just say? Elliot leaned forward, eyes desperate. She said a detective was helping cover up illegal foreclosures. Paid off to make evidence disappear. Said she had proof. The room went cold. Laura didn't need to guess who that detective might be. Royce. It had to be Royce. That night, Laura drove to the Harris house one last time. Something about it still bothered her. The smell of bleach, the wiped surfaces, the quiet. She went into the basement and shined her flashlight on the concrete floor. That's when she saw it, faint, almost invisible, but there, boot prints leading toward the furnace. She followed them, pried open a loose panel, and found a hidden compartment. Inside was a hard drive and a stack of folders labeled with names. Police officers, real estate agents, city officials, bribes, payoffs, evidence of a massive corruption ring, and Royce's name was all over it. Before she could leave, her phone buzzed. A text message. You shouldn't have come back here. Laura's blood ran cold. She turned off the light and drew her gun. The old floorboards above her creaked. Someone else was in the house. Royce? She shouted. Don't do this. His voice came from the shadows. You should have walked away, Laura. You were always too good for this job. Too honest. You killed her, didn't you? She said, her gun steady. Samantha found the files. You panicked. She was going to ruin everything. He said quietly. You don't understand. We were cleaning up the system. Making money doing what the brass already did behind closed doors. It wasn't murder, Laura. It was survival. She stepped forward. You murdered an innocent woman. You dumped her in a lake like trash. Royce raised his gun. Then I guess you'll join her. The shots echoed through the house like thunder. One hit Laura's shoulder, spinning her back against the wall. Pain exploded through her, but she fired again. Once, twice. Royce staggered, dropped his weapon, and collapsed beside the furnace. When the backup arrived, Laura was sitting on the porch, covered in blood and rain, staring at the sunrise. In her lap was the hard drive. It's all here, she told the captain. Every name, every dirty deal. The city erupted after that. 30 arrests in 1 week. The corruption ran deep. Judges, detectives, councilmen. The Harris property was just the tip of an iceberg that stretched across Los Angeles. Laura became a hero overnight, but she didn't feel like one. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Samantha Reed's face. Young, terrified, silenced, too soon. 6 months later, Laura turned in her badge. The department offered her a medal. She didn't show up to the ceremony. Instead, she drove back to Silver Lake, parked by the water, and sat quietly as the wind rippled the surface. The lake had given up its secrets, but it hadn't stopped whispering. She opened her old case notebook, the one she kept since her rookie year. On the first page, she wrote a single line. The truth doesn't set you free, it just makes you live with it. Then she closed it for good. That night, a local kid walking his dog noticed a woman sitting by the lake long after sunset. By the time the cops arrived, she was gone, just tire tracks leading back toward the city, and an empty badge case left on the hood of her car. Some say Laura Kane disappeared that night, started a new life far away from L.A. Others believe she couldn't live with what she'd seen, that she walked into the water and never came back. No one really knows. But sometimes when the fog rolls over Silver Lake, people swear they can still hear her voice, calm, steady, whispering through the dark. Justice always comes, one way or another.